What is going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Elliot and this is MovieFiles. Today we are here to discuss a sequel to one of my favorite films of 2019, which was Knives Out. And today we're breaking down Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Now, is this a good murder mystery? Is this better than the first? Sorry for that accent. It might come back out a little bit later. That's my Daniel Craig impression as a detective, if you couldn't tell. I can't make any promises. But hey, we're talking pros, we're talking cons, and if I think it's worth checking out, we'll be breaking it down here in this spoiler-free review. But before we get into it, if you all haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all my daily reviews. You can also give your boy a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All those links can be found in the description of this very video. Which, speaking of this video, if you enjoyed my review, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up. Make sure you're sharing the review, but more importantly, sharing your thoughts on the film once you've seen it. We're talking pros and cons, but your thoughts on Rian Johnson's direction, his writing, the performances. Was the mystery good? Were you on the edge of your seat? Did you not know who the killer was? Did you not know who was going to die? Or were you pretty like, this is pretty on the nose, right? Or let's talk about which one did you prefer? Part 1, Part 2, as a whole film. And we're getting to Part 3. So the question I have for you all, give me 3 to 4 fan casting. Who would you like to see in a third Knives Out? Let me know in the comments below. So like I said up top, fan of 2019's Knives Out, one of my favorite films this year. I thought it was smart, clever, witty, loved the characters, loved the reveal, and I was beyond excited for this sequel, and here we are discussing it. So let's start off by talking about Mr. Rian Johnson, the writer and director, who I'm a fan of, man. I like Last Jedi, don't hate me. But listen, I think he's such a great writer. I think he's such a great director, and this is a sequel, so you got to get bigger, bolder, and crazier. And while I think there was some shortcomings in the narrative, I think for the most part, man, he knocked it out of the park. I think you can tell, as someone like me that watches a lot of movies and someone that has been following Rian Johnson's career for quite a while, he's having fun, man. And I love when creative people like Rian Johnson are able to just put all the negativity aside from other franchises and just focus on giving the audience a fun time, clever script, a good mystery, and bringing these group of actors together that we would probably never assume to see on screen together and just giving us something fun, man. I think that's what Rian Johnson is at his peak, when he has these characters that don't necessarily fit within like a certain group, and we'll talk about the story a little bit later, but this is a very interesting group of characters, and it's a much different group of characters than the first one, where we were focusing more on a family. This is a family in a sense, but they're more friends. But you'd be like, are they really friends? And as you see the film, you know what I'm referring to when it gets to the, are they really good friends, or are they just, mooching off of someone in particular? And it's a lot to say about that commentary, but I just thought Rian Johnson was just clicking on all cylinders. This script is just so clever in the sense of it has a good amount of comedy, relatability, looking at things in this particular lens of how the social commentary that he puts in the script. And not that this is a political film, but you look at the first Knives Out, he had something to say about that group of people, privilege, and all the different stuff that first film had to offer. Where this time around, we're dealing with scientists, billionaires, celebrities, YouTubers, and I just love how he plays within those stereotypes, and also what he has to say about certain celebrities, which, by the way, some great cameos in this film. But overall, man, I do have some issues with some of the tropes that we play with a little bit later on, but for the most part, man, I think Rian Johnson did a really good job when it came to directing and writing this film. But let's talk about these performances. And again, I said I wasn't going to maybe do it, but here it is. Now, stop. Daniel Craig as the detective, he's just fantastic. Now, I thought that his character was more mysterious in the first one. This time, we got my man. He's kind of in a down point of his life where he's not getting the thrills that he wants because he's not solving a case, and he gets invited to this trip in a very mysterious way. And I just thought Daniel Craig was just fantastic in this movie. He's funnier in this one. He's a little bit more, again, loose in this one, but he's still that great detective, and I really appreciate that. He was a standout. Janelle Monáe, who is just quietly building this really great resume, as we all know her as the great music that she makes, but she's a really good actor, man, and I thought she was great in this role. She has a lot to do. She's kind of our Ana de Armas in this role, where she is probably the more grounded out of her friends that we see in this film, and she knocked it out of the park, man. She carries a lot of the emotional weight. She has a lot of resentment inside of her for really good reasons, and she's a really important character. I'll just say that, and I really enjoyed what she brought to the table. But everyone in this film, to me, man, was just having fun. Again, whether you look at Edward Norton or Kathryn Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Jessica Hartwig, or Kate Hudson, who is very funny in this film, probably the funniest character to me, and just seeing her stereotype of someone that's a celebrity that gets herself in trouble on Twitter and speaking to that social commentary of everything, and even Dave Bautista, the YouTuber who just can't control himself when it comes to gun control. So I just had fun with these characters, and I just really enjoyed their chemistry on screen, which brings me to the narrative and the mystery of it all. I personally, and we'll get to it more in my criticism, I personally thought the mystery was better in the first one, but that doesn't take anything away from this one. I did have a fun time as the story unfolds and we kind of find out the twists, the turns, who to trust, who not to trust, taking it back to the past and all that stuff was a lot of fun. But the best parts to me was just seeing these characters and what it had to say about these characters in regards to, we know Rian Johnson likes to say things in his film, and I just found these different characters, Kathryn Hahn as a politician, how we assume politicians always try to take the dirty money. You look at a YouTuber that's willing to do anything to get some fame, and the people that's attached to him, like the girlfriend that we have with Whiskey. You think of Edward Norton's character as this billionaire who was literally do some very conniving things to make sure that their brand and their image is not tamed. And then again, speaking of images, I really enjoyed the commentary that they had to say about Kate Hudson and just many different things that we see celebrities do, whether it's what they wear, what they say, how they treat people, how they build their brands off the backs of people. I just thought that the way that the story kind of pieces together, but also how it factors in these characters and how they are attracted to this type of attention, how they leash themselves on these type of things. I just thought that the way that the story kind of handled the characters was really well done, and the way that the mystery plays into those characters was something that I had a good time with. But that brings me to my criticisms. I kind of touched on it. I didn't find the mystery to be all that clever as it was in the first one, but it's more so, this one to me leaned more on some very stereotypical tropes when it comes to murder mysteries, and I won't say what those tropes are, but I found those to be a little bit too on the nose for me, a little bit too obvious when it came to certain reveals. One of them, which we see on like daytime television, that I thought was just a little bit too like on the nose when it came to a certain reveal. And also the way that the structuring of this 2 hour and 10 minute, 2 hour, 15 minute film, the first half is really well paced. It's like a fine orchestra of just seeing the pieces come together, how the characters come together. They go on this beautiful island. And by the way, let me backtrack and talk about the production. Netflix has become one of those things where we say it looks like a Netflix film, which in a way is kind of demeaning because it's almost like the same way people used to say it's like a, straight to DVD movie. It's a TV movie, but this film looked and felt like a movie. So let me get back to my criticisms, going back to the way that this story is structured. The first half is really intriguing, really good mystery. And then something happens in the second half where they go backwards. They kind of tell that the last hour is like a whole back train of like, oh, a different perspective. And oh, let's go back to when they first met, which was still kind of cloudy of how one of our main characters, Edward Norton, how he got integrated in the group was kind of, wasn't explained too much. And some of the development was a little lacking. But I wasn't the biggest fan of how the film tonally switched and how they tell the story in the second half. I wasn't a fan of that. And I also wasn't a fan of the ending. I just thought it was a little bit too, it hit home, it plays into some of the reveals, but it just felt a little too underwhelming. And again, for all that see the film, you know what I'm referring to regarding the main thrust of who was behind certain things and how it plays out. It just felt a little unsatisfying for me. So I don't want to get into more details because that's where we get into spoiler territory, but I'll just say I personally found the mystery to be better in the first one, but it doesn't take anything away from this one. With all that being said, before I give you all my score and my overall thoughts, if you haven't already, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Overall, at the end of the day, this film is funny. I enjoyed the characters. I thought Rian Johnson did a good job in directing this. I did appreciate the look and the feel and didn't feel like a stereotypical Netflix film. I did have some shortcomings with the story, the reveals, and not in the way that they creatively told the second half into the third act. Overall, though, it's a fun movie, man, and I recommend you all give it a watch. I'm going to give Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, a 3.5 out of 5. It's coming to Netflix on December 23rd, and I think it's something worth checking out. So, hey, that's my thoughts, pros, cons. Let me know yours in the comments below. Which one did you prefer? Overall, I think the first one's better than the second one, but I'm still excited to see what Rian Johnson has in store for us for the third one. So, again, leave your thoughts in the comments. Pros, cons, who do you hope to see in the third one? And, of course, if you all are still here at this point, I appreciate you. Just a friendly reminder, as you all can see on the screen now, to hit that thumbs up, share the review, and subscribe to the channel by clicking this button right here, checking out my other reviews, check out my most recent review, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.